That's a cue for me to work. Yeah, and not do this song stuff.
Hey!
This has been long coming. This has been long.
Way too long.
Way too long coming. I'm so excited. We're here. We're doing this. And yeah.
Yeah, guys.
So my name is Kelvin Mutize.
Godfrey Kelvin, aka Godfrey, but you can also call me Godfrey. Jokes. Anyway.
Yes, anyway. This is... yeah, that was random. You guys know me by now. I do random things. As long as it's, fun and legal and safe to do. But I love what I do, and this is kind of what I get up to sometimes. Have you guys ever seen that meme where it's like, what is it? What my pastor thinks I do, what my mother thinks I do, what my friends think I do, what my boss thinks I do? Well, my life is not particularly a meme, but this is kind of what I get up to as well sometimes when I've got my workplace situation going on. And I create content. Hopefully it's of good quality and someone can see the good in it. And some of the content is part of this vlog, which has been so exciting and amazing. And with this episode, I've got my brother Kelvin, and I'll be kind of hosting him. And it's not an interview, and which is also really cool. It's a discussion, and we're talking about it. We're being about it, and what are we being about? Praise and worship. I'm always kind of just thinking by myself. I think a lot, and then just reading on it and just meditating on it. What praise and worship is, what it's about. Like, what was God going on with when designing praise and worship? Fortunately, and yeah, I think it's really cool as well that it goes beyond just the vocalist and the instrumentalist. That worship is a lifestyle, and these are just some of the nuggets that we're picking up in the conversation. And yeah, I'm excited to share this with you. And please engage me on what your thoughts are on praise and worship in the comments. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's be about it. And I implore you, as worshipers yourself. Yes, you're a worshiper. You were created to praise. You were created to glorify God and honor Him with your body, as the word says. So yeah, like read upon it. Read up on it. Hey, English. Read on it. Fine. And learn as much as you can. Engage with what God is saying about praise and worship. Is there a difference? Should there be a difference? How can it edify you as much as it blesses God? Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do, and just and show you what's gonna happen. So yeah.
So yeah, guys. Today we are talking about praise and worship.
Okay.
Yeah. But before we do so, let me tell you a story.
Yes.
So
I love stories.
a few years ago, I don't even know how long it was.
Yeah.
I was playing percussion, and this guy walks up to me after service, and he's like, there's something about you. Then blah 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 blah. Basically, the whole story of the whole crux of the story is that we met in a very interesting way at church 3 years ago.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago. Then we became part of this WhatsApp group, and then we're doing stuff together. But now we had never done something like together, like collaborative. So today is our first day doing this, and we are here.
Yeah. So I came across Kelvin. I was like, "Yo, dude, we need to do this," and here we are. And I think the first thing we got to talk about as worshipers, people that are passionate about worship and
music,
let's talk about it, right? So I mean, recently I was thinking about it. That okay, is there a difference between praise and worship? Should we pay attention to a difference? What is what? Which one is which? I mean, it all comes to God or about God. But I mean, with the way that things are done or with how it all comes together, I think it's something to note and point out. What is the difference? Do you see a difference?
Yeah, no, let's start with the misconception the church has, or the misconception that we have as Christians, is that praise is that fast song that we play, and then worship is that slow song that we do, or you know, and then now if there are terms like mid praise, mid worship, and, you know, like we're coming up with these terms, but no one really is really taking time to actually just figure out what it truly is. So, what is praise, or what is a praise song? A praise song is a song that thanks the Lord, blesses the Lord. It gives, it tells. It's our expression of thanks to Him. That's what I feel like praise is about.
That's good. That's
and
good.
Yeah. Worship now is it's not about me. It's about Him. It's about us telling Him He's holy, He's worthy, telling Him how awesome He is. It's us adoring God.
Okay.
So if it's a fast beat song and it's adoring God the whole time, nothing about me, it's a worship song.
Yeah. I mean, are you guys taking notes? You better be taking notes.
And if it's a slow song and it's all about, you know, appreciating what God is doing to me, then it's a praise song. But though the tempo is on a faster beat, so it's not about the tempo of the song; it's the content of the song. So if it's adoring God, blessing God, it's a worship song.
Yeah.
If it's expression of thanks and adoration and honor, that becomes praise.
Okay.
So there is a difference.
Definitely. Okay. So you'd say, I mean, if you guys are with us, the premise of the difference is that it is the message.
It's the content of the
so
song.
Those are the misconceptions that we need to scratch out of our being, that praise is not just fast song and worship being the slower, mellow song, but it's about the message. And I think it was, for me, one of the ways that I've summarized it in a way has been, I think I'm getting a bit of a revelation about it as well, is that praise in a way is more about God, whereas worship is more to God.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's pretty cool to see it in that light, because if you kind of still tie in with the tempo and the vibe about a song, you get that we can be happy and merry singing about how God makes us feel, how God has done great things for us, how He does great things through us. And so in a way that you're talking about God, you are uplifting God's name. So that's the praise song, like right? But then now when it's worship,
it's nothing about you.
It's not so much about you.
There's nothing. You are out of the context. You're out of the picture. It's now 100% God. This is now His time.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Someone said that, you know, of all the things that we do on earth, you know, the giving, the sowing, the fasting, and the praying, it all doesn't bless God. God doesn't need it. God
definitely.
doesn't need it.
Yeah.
But if there's one thing that actually captures God's heart, God's attention, is worship and praise.
Yeah.
Because it's the time that you get to say, Lord, I'm here for you and you alone. And
Amen.
I'm here to tell you that you are great, that you are awesome.
Yeah.
And I thank you for what you have done. And in the same space, God responds to the worship. You know, Zephaniah 3:17,
yes.
He sits in the praise. He sits in the worship and the praise.
Amen.
So the beautiful thing about praise and worship is that even though we're doing it in a way we don't have an understanding of it, but I think the most important part of it is that when we thank God for what He's done, and when we express our thanks to Him, or we talk about God, that is praise.
Yeah.
And when we talk to God, and we talk to Him, that is worship.
Yeah.
So I think it's the moment we understand those aspects, I feel like that then gives us an intentionality about how we choose worship songs, or how we choose church songs. Is it always about us thanking the God, feeling good? In the church today we have so many happy clapper songs, chappy, you know what I mean? How I feel about God.
Yeah.
But then when we come to a service, when we come to that setting, what we want is to pull down on God. So we need to have those kind of songs that allow us to have that demand on the heaven. Then, like, we are here, you better listen. And He does listen when we worship.
You touched on something that's also really, really good, in the sense of how we can't always just, like, but I think what drives the way that you're going to engage with God through praise and worship is determined by the relationship that you have with God. Right? So that comes in the sense where if you see God as just a blesser, right? And
Wow.
Yeah. If you see God as if your relationship with God is transactional, yes. Let me put it like
Transactional, that's
that.
the thing.
If your relationship with God is transactional,
I give you this, you give me that.
yes, then you will most likely be always jovial and merry about it. That yeah, he blesses me, he gives me, and I also give him here and there.
Here
But
and there.
because you're focusing on the
transaction.
the transaction of how. So I would say you'd be more inclined to just having the feel good vibe about engaging with God through praise and worship, right? But I think it's also important sometimes to kind of go to the other side of the spectrum where you can be broken, right? You can be vulnerable. You can be, sure, kind of just sit back and you just literally like in utter like surrender, and that can be communicated through song. And you can see when David, he's lamenting, he's like, "Yo, God, oh my word, like I'm broken. I feel so inadequate. My enemies are many. My enemies are always against me, but still." With the heart, I'll choose to.
It's like he had to choose to
You see-
have that relationship.
You see
with
what I
God.
mean? So even if he was like downtrodden and
And
just under so much pressure and like just life was just having him, he still chose to worship. And I don't think that point of his connection with praise and worship was hey, lovey-dovey, merry, feel good, happy music. But he was broken. Some of the songs I know the way Psalms labels the thing is it's an interlude or chorus, and half the time he's crying or he's just broken. Like here's my heart, God, just take it. You know what I mean?
I think the crux of praise and worship is our relationship with God.
Yeah.
There's some people who just love praise and there's some people who love worship. But I feel like I love the fact that when you have a relationship with God, it's that relationship that you come that then brings you together to Him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same thing that when we come to God and we have a relationship where we understand Him, or we have a level of brokenness, the way you pour out your heart to Him is different from someone. So there's the deeper your relationship with God is, the deeper your worship or your praise is. There's a meaning to it. You know what I mean? There's a meaning to it. It's not when you're transactional, you're just like, oh, I'm gonna do this so that you do that.
Yeah.
But when you're relational, it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out there and just do it.
Yeah.
Even if He doesn't respond, even if He doesn't show up, even if He doesn't bless me, even if there's nothing that comes out of this time that I'm gonna give God, you know that it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like that level of brokenness that allows us to have access to a relationship with God. And I think the beautiful thing is that when there's a scripture in Psalm that says when praises go up, blessings come down.
Yes.
But I do believe that when praises go up, God comes down. God responds to worship. God is moved by worship. That's the one thing that stops Him. You kind of like, you remember in Eden, He had to come down every day to spend time with Adam and Eve. So that's the whole point. For me, I think that's the whole thing. It's God has always wanted the relationship more than He has wanted the worship. So praise and worship is not about us singing. No. Praise and worship, I do believe, is about us having a relationship with God. That's what God really wanted. But when we have that relationship out of a broken place, we have a deeper understanding of what worship is. And then when we have this relationship out of a transactional, I come in, God, I sing to you, you have to bless me.
Then
that's when we go to church or Sunday service, so that we feel good. And not to go there to surrender our lives to Him. So I feel like the depth of your relationship then determines the depth of your worship or your praise. But when you look at it, even in the scripture, praise and worship, sometimes the scripture doesn't really differentiate, especially if you're reading the English version. It doesn't really differentiate between praise and this was praise, this was worship. Because for me, I feel like if it's praise and worship, I kind of like put it together as
definitely.
It's all worship. It's to the one Creator. But in terms of the misconception we have today, obviously.
So I mean, I do understand of I was reading this morning in Revelations 19, sort of the visions that were being given. The author, I don't know if it's John.
John.
Yes, John. Yes, John. He's getting these revelations of what heaven will be like, or what will be transpiring in heaven. The praises that go, like the 24 elders. And the angelic, the roar of praise, and for me, it's again kind of associated with the vibe or the nature of how it comes across, right? So for me, praise was generally associated with a lot of passion, a lot of adoration, exuberance, proclamation, praise, and it's a roar, right? Like literally like a thunderous sound of praise, right? Whereas when they were worshiping, it almost kind of seemed a bit toned down in a way, a bit almost withdrawn and less mellow, and where it's like
less exuberant.
Yeah, and it was just, and they fell down onto the ground almost in a prostrate position,
like they're lying on the floor,
literally lying on the floor. And for me, that there's no vev about that, you know. But there's already that contrast.
Yeah.
So they all doing the same thing as in terms of the angels with their roar of praise, and the elders with their surrender of worship, right? They're doing the same thing, but it's still in different dynamics.
Different tones, and different level of loudness, so to speak.
You see what I mean? And for me, that was quite interesting to note. And then also, I think also something that's also really like always sparks a thing for me is I think it's in Romans 12, where you're called to a life of worship, right? So also that now like just. It's a plot twist where it's not just praise and worship being singing. Like it doesn't say now if you can't sing then you can't praise and worship. No, but your life needs to praise and worship God.
My pastor loves the scripture, Isaiah 43:27. The people that are formed for myself shall declare my praise.
Yeah.
And if you go into the scriptures, you realize that I feel like when God created us, He created us. Our default setting in our system was worship, and when we don't praise or when we don't worship, we find something else to worship. We replace that. So I think when God created men, He created us with I don't know, like a void that only He can fill. Only He can fill. And then when we can't fill that void with God, we try to fill it with something else. Never. That's why people sometimes are always looking, searching. They're always searching, but they don't know that even in the whole searching, there's one thing that you need to search. That's God. It's because that's default setting. So we were created to praise. We were created for that relationship. We bless God. He comes and He spends time with us. The reason why He said, "Let us make men in our image," so that we can have fellowship with Him. So that the whole aspect of praise and the whole aspect of worship is having that fellowship with God, having that relationship, that communion. That's why God came down for Adam and Eve every single day, to have that personal relationship with Him.
Deep, bro.
And the moment we understand that it's that relationship, we allow ourselves to be broken, then we have this engagement with God at an altar or at a threshing floor that is beyond days way. So it's relationship.
And that I think also just kind of bringing it together.
It's a lot. Oh, we actually need to break it down.
My guy, the brokenness is just really
It's
like
too much.
It's like yo. It's when there's brokenness, right? It's either you can just leave it like that and it's just broken, or you can put away those broken pieces and you throw it away, or you can mend, right? What is gonna
maybe
mend?
Maybe let me end with this. In Mark, Jesus was anointed twice before when He started His ministry and at the end of His ministry. And what happened is that the lady came with the alabaster box of perfume. And this perfume is like a year's wage of money. So maybe like we're in South Africa, so let's say you earn 15,000 rand a month, and 15 times 12 is what? I don't know. Well, let's say 12 times 12, that's 144, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it's okay. Let's say the bottle is worth, it's a Dolce & Gabbana bottle. It's worth maybe 1,000 rand. Right. And she came with it. And back in the days, those alabaster boxes were sealed with a seal of wax, not the kind of wax we used to do, but a different kind of wax. The problem is that the moment you open it, you can't close it.
So she had to.
So you use it once and you use it forever. But now the reason, the thing that everyone is always excited about, the alabaster box. But what's exciting for me is that when she did that level of worship to God by anointing Jesus' body, it actually that's the reason why that's the reason why Judas Iscariot, that's the day Judas Iscariot walked out and said he's going to betray Jesus. So worship has a way of getting Satan offended.
Hectic.
That's the simple.
Hectic.
She opened up a most expensive perfume in the world for Jesus, and the aura the aura of like the
That's
smell
because she did that in worship.
in worship,
Yeah.
and that made the devil
Unsettled.
and he went
Unsettled,
and
like,
saw Jesus over, just over that.
Hectic.
So if we can get to that level of
Yeah,
brokenness,
yeah.
we connect with God at a deeper spectrum. We connect with God at a, I don't know, at a much more defined spectrum than when we just do it feel good. So the reason why we're doing this video today is like,
Yes.
please can we move out of this feel good stuff, feel good music,
yeah.
feel good lovey-dovey, happy clappy songs. No. I think let's go for the relationship. Let's go
Yeah.
for that brokenness. Let's go for that intimacy that we cannot just find out as we just do happy clappy songs.
Yes, I mean, so guys, that's kind of where it comes down to, right? If you're going to pay attention to these terms and nuances about praise and worship, I think the most important thing, well, two most important things, is the relationship of the nature, your relationship with God, because that's who you're communicating with in song and in lifestyle, and the message of your praise and worship. And so, yeah, guys, let's be about it.
And the last thing, please can we study the word? If every person is a worshiper, can we study what worship means? Can we study how we should do it? Psalms is full of it. Guys, let's study. Let's read what the word says. This is the manual that God gave to us on earth to say, no, listen to these words. So please, let's study this word. Let's understand what worship is. Let's not just do it for the sake of just doing it, but may it have a meaning, may it have a deeper revelation than what we actually do have. My name is Kelvin, and I am out, and I am with
Godfrey!
and we out.
Cheers, guys. Yes.
That was nice. It's just too much sauce.
Nah, man, that was dope.
It's just too much sauce.
Then we see that it wasn't recording.